Guys, welcome back to the shop. Frank here. I've moved some equipment. I'm moving some equipment to the other house. You saw in a video a couple weeks ago where I stacked several of my tractors to clear up some floor space. I've got some tools here that I'm not really using, and I just wanted to let you know. Harbor Freight workbench, my molder, planer molder, which I use for molding since I have another planer. This is a Woodmaster, and it's a 12-inch planer or a molding machine, and so it's set up now to mold, I think, crown molding. But I'm not doing any of that work right now. I've got my wood lathe here, which I don't use much, but you know, when you need it, you need it. So I haven't really used it in probably 5 years, since I'm not really doing much woodworking. I'm more in the metal fabrication stuff. And then my big resaw. This is a Hitachi resaw. It's a bandsaw with a 3-inch wide blade, and it has carbide or stellite teeth, carbide teeth. So it'll cut up to 12 inches thick. So I do use that occasionally, but I have a plan. So I have another bandsaw in the shop. So this is a drill doctor. I've been cleaning stuff up. I've got barrels of trash, stuff to take to the dump. I've been reorganizing a bunch of the shop. A lot of the cabinets, throwing stuff away that I don't use, moving some stuff upstairs. And that Harbor Freight workbench and the lathe were sitting right here. So it's freed up some space. I haven't decided exactly what I'm going to do, but I have 2 lathes, and I think I don't need 2 lathes. This South Bend 10-inch, which I use most of the time. I have this Logan 9-inch, Logan 400 9-inch. It's a nice little lathe, and actually, in terms of quality or wear, this is much better than this one. This one's got a lot of wear on it. So on this wall, I've got this tall storage cabinet with all kinds of hardware in it. It's just chock full of hardware. And these 2 wooden cabinets, which are full of hardware and paint. My thought is move this gray cabinet over, take this wooden cabinet off, move it over, get rid of this lathe, and base probably, and then it'll free up some room for a replacement lathe for this lathe. So that's all right. So you saw me with some of my woodworking tools loaded up. I took them to the other house. So those are some tools that I don't use very often. I do use the resaw somewhat regularly, but I have another bandsaw, and my plan is to replace this Delta 14-inch bandsaw, which is just your standard woodworking bandsaw, with a larger 3-horsepower bandsaw that will do both resawing and regular scroll type bandsaw work. I am trying to conserve space here in the shop, and you'll notice that I have a little more room here that I've opened up. I've removed, since I took the wood lathe out and a workbench. I rearranged some of the cabinets here. This wall cabinet was over here, and this metal parts cabinet was in the middle, and that's allowed me to put the two lathes here. So my next, not long-term but mid-term plan is to get rid of both of these lathes and buy a new lathe. And this 9-inch Logan lathe I really have not used much since I got this 10-inch South Bend. I mean, it's on rollers right now, so it's kind of sitting high. And it's okay, but the ways are badly worn. There's a lot of backlash in the cross slide. The leather belt that drives it, the flat leather belt drives it, doesn't really transmit don't think it transmits the full 2 horsepower. I'd like to get something with a little more swing. So I'm thinking about a 13 or 14 inch. I'd like a 3 horsepower lathe. I've looked at the Precision Matthews lathes. So I'm open to suggestions. I thought about, another old iron lathe, Klausing or LeBlond or Victor or Monarch. I mean, those are all great brands, but almost all of them are very old, and a lot of them are going to take work. So here's my brew. Being a good boy. He just came over to snuggle a little bit. So I'm open to suggestions. Tell me what you guys think. What if I were to buy a new lathe, 14-inch, 3 horsepower, what would you recommend? I'm not looking for a project. Budget would be, 6, 7, 8K, something like that. I don't need super precision, just a decent lathe, but I'd like it to be capable of removing a decent amount of metal. So that's why I'm thinking 3 horsepower. I mean, there's a lot of 2 horsepower lathes out there. There aren't that many 3 horsepower in that size, 14-inch. I hesitate to go up to 16 because 16-inch swing lathes, at least the Precision Matthews, then jump up to 10K or over 10K, and it's out of my budget. So tell me what you think, and in the comments below. All right, enough of that. I do have a project that I'm getting ready to start on, and it has to do with my bulldozer. I'll share with you, my plan here. I bought a couple additional gears. These are the gears that drive the tracks. I really only have one drive gear on each side of the dozer, and I'm planning to convert the other 2 idler wheels to gears. So they're all mounted on a bolt circle, 4.5-inch diameter bolt circle with 5 bolts, which is the standard Cub Cadet and many smaller American car arrangements. 7/16-inch bolts. Some of them are 1/2-inch, and I think I drill. I'll have to look and see what I drilled before. 1/2-inch or 5/8-inch, maybe 9/16 inch holes. So I got to do that on. I've got 2 of these. The other one is here still in the box, and I bought these from Red Boar Chain and Fastener. I think they're in Utah. redboardchain.com, I think it is. So they've gotten a lot more expensive, as you can imagine everything is. The last set I bought a couple years ago, $136 a piece, I think. Not cheap, but not real terrible. And that's gone up to 160 some dollars a piece now. So, all right, I'm going to get set up. I'm going to drill bolt circle. I'll show you how to do that, and bring you back in a couple minutes. So I've got this gear which fits the tracks of the mini dozer, and I'm going to drill bolt circle. I've got it, I'm getting ready to clamp it down here to the table. I've got it sitting on some 1, 2, 3 blocks. To raise it off the table. Need to get my coaxial indicator, and we'll indicate this. Get the quill centered over the hole here in the middle, and then using the DRO, we'll space out 5 holes on a 4.5 inch circle, which is the hub for the mini dozer. So I've got the coaxial indicator here. Alright, so I think that's close enough. That's within 1,000th. A 1,000th or so, which is plenty close for us. We're just drilling a bolt circle for the hub, and as long as we're anywhere near, we'll be fine. So now that we're centered, need to zero out the DRO. And these are my coordinates for the hole circle. The first hole is at x equals 2.25, y is 0. Second hole is at x equals 0.695, and y is at 2.14, and the next hole is x at minus 1.82 and y at 1.32, 323. The fourth hole is at x is minus 1.82 again, and y is at minus 1.3225, and then the final hole is at x is 0.695 and y at minus 2.14, basically. So these degree increments here, or if you use a rotary table, you can do it also with a rotary table. Come out 2.25, which is the radius of the bolt circle, and do it at these degrees around the circle. That's the other way of doing it. So either XY coordinates or radius and azimuth or angle around the circle. That'll slow the mill down. So as sometimes happens in the middle of a project, run into an issue. And my issue is dull, exceedingly dull, dull drill bits. I have several 5/8 inch drill bits. Actually, I had two of them I tried to use, and both of them are dull. So you saw the carnage of that one. So this is a drill doctor. And I've had it for, I don't know, a year or so. Let's see. It's the 750X. And I've used it a couple times, and it seems to work well. So we're going to sharpen these two 5/8 inch drill bits. And I think the maximum drill bit that this will take is 3/4. Alright. So you loosen it, get the drill bit in there. Alright, to sharpen, this has a alignment notch here, 118 degrees. You can also sharpen 135 degree angle, but that would be for stainless steel or maybe tool steel. But we're going to use 118, which is kind of the standard for soft metals. And we're just dealing with mild steel here. There's a fin on the chuck here that holds the drill bit, and so this fin goes in the notch aligned with 118. If you do it one notch to the right, then it does for 135. So we'll do it for 118, and then you press this button here, and it releases these two fingers. You push the drill bit in, and so those fingers then sit in the flutes and align the drill bit in its rotational axis. So it aligns the drill bit. These two fingers go in the flutes. So once that's, and the bit bottoms out against the stop there. And once that's done, then you can tighten the chuck that holds the drill bit in position. Push the button, take it out, and tighten the chuck a little bit more. So then it's ready to sharpen. And in this port here, if you can see at the bottom, there's a diamond hone drum that spins. And then you turn this, rotate this within that port, and the port moves to create clearance on the grind. And there's a cam on here, two cams actually opposite sides, and they rotate against this pin, and that causes the port to change angle, and which gives you the clearances you need on the end of the drill bit. And meanwhile, the tip rotates against the drum. So this thing makes a lot of noise. I'll run it, but I'm probably going to have to cut the sound way back. It is pretty loud. So let me plug it in and we'll sharpen this bit. On switch here. You always keep this cam in contact with this pin. Basically keep rotating it like that until it stops grinding. It leaves a very sharp edge on the bit. So it looks like it does a good job. I've done it, used it before. Now I think my grinding wheel may be getting a little dull because it's taking a little bit longer than expected. It took about, I don't know, 10 minutes. It takes a while for a bit this large, but all right, we're going to see about splitting the point. So this has the ability to do split points. So that's the next step. Okay, so to split the point, you take this, they call it the grit tube. So it's where debris accumulates. Remove that from the side, and of course that exposes the grinding wheel in here. And then there's two marks on here, white marks, and align those white marks with the notch, which is shown here. You can see that. This notch here. So align it with that notch, push it straight in, rotate it 180 degrees, and do that again. They want you to check the bit for this split, make sure it's equal on both sides. And you can check for the grind that splits the point there. Look for it to be equal on both sides, and I think I've got it equal. It's not fully split to the center, but I think it's enough. All right, it also takes a little bit off the corners here and here, but of course they're clearance corners, they don't matter. Okay, so let's put this back in the mill and see how it works. All right, let's go to our second set of coordinates. Exit point 6, 9, 5. Can't go 3. I can go 5. All right, because the tenths indicator is either 0 or 5, so 3 is closer to 5, and then the y coordinate 2.14. Overshot. There we go. 2.1399, so we rounded to 2.14. So 0.6953 and 2.14. All right, so I've got the sharpened bit back in the chuck. I'm at my second coordinates. All right, so you can see that was much better chips coming out of that than the small little ones we had on the first hole. So it's not perfect, but it's pretty close. So, and especially since I'm not drilling a pilot hole. Generally, for larger bits, you want to drill a smaller hole first. If you split the point on these bits, they work okay. So I'm a little bit lazy, and that's what I do. I split the points. This is 5/8. So if I had a bit which was 3/4 or larger, I would definitely drill like a 1/4 inch pilot hole. And it makes sense to do that. It's less wear and tear on the bits to do that. It's the proper way to do it, though with a split point bit, you can still do it this way. So those of you that are going to comment that I should have drilled pilot holes, you guys are right, but there's more than one way to skin a cat, as they say. And for you cat lovers out there, please don't take offense. I don't mean any offense. Okay. So let me move to my next coordinate, which will be over here someplace, and we'll drill the next hole. All right, so I've gone to the next set of coordinates, which is x is minus 1.82 and y is minus 1.32, 3225. All right, so I'll do one here, and then I'll come up here and do one right there. Last two holes. And of course, I'm very careful not to go too far through. I don't want to hit the table. I'm an inch above the table, so I've got plenty of clearance. Alright, so the x-axis doesn't change, just the y-axis. Alright, so these are the kinds of chips you want to see. And you can tell you have a good grind on a twist drill when you have these chips coming off both sides of the bit at the same time. Basically same length, same size. And I let up pressure every few seconds to break the chip so you don't get these long stringy chips, but you know you got a good grind, equal on both sides when the chips come off out of both flutes at the same time. So that worked pretty well. Alright, so now's the moment of truth. This is just a wheel spacer. It's not what I'm going to use, at least I don't know that I'm going to use it, but it's the proper bolt circle, 5 studs on a 4.5 inch circle, and that works. Let's go ahead and take these lug nuts off. This is just a wheel spacer that I had left over from the last build, the forklift. If you haven't seen that, you might want to go back and check the channel. I built a forklift out of a couple Cub Cadets actually 1 cup cadet. All right. A little bit of clearance on the holes, and that's on purpose. First of all, I don't need, you know, since it's the mini dozer that this is going to go on, you know, the speed is very low. So concentricity, you know, is nice, but I mean, it's not critical. And so having a little bit of 5/8 inch holes going on to 1/2 inch studs gives you a little bit of forgiveness, and any of that slop is taken up by the bevels on the lug nuts and in the holes. So, all right, so that's a perfect fit. We're good to go. What do I see here? I see 2 boys. I see 2 good boys. There's my Brutus coming up. There's my Butchie. How you guys doing, huh? You camping out in here because it's nice and hot outside? So, you guys have been quiet. You guys have been quiet. Such good boys. They put up with the noise from the mill. It does make that much noise. Okay, so going to wrap up this video at this point. Quick lesson on how to drill a bolt circle using a DRO. And you can get the coordinates. Just go online and Google bolt circle coordinates, and you put in the diameter and the number of holes you want, and presto, it gives you the coordinates for drilling the holes. So really easy to do. And if you saw some of the earlier videos on the bulldozer build a couple of years ago, or a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago now, did a lot of these. So it's pretty easy to do. And using the drill doctor here was, you know, drill bits are getting, you know, are kind of expensive. The small ones not so much, but the bigger ones, if you buy good ones, they are expensive. So having something to sharpen them, and I don't have, you know, an elaborate jig for my grinder, though I have ground some by hand, but my skill level is so low at that anything I attempt to do by hand is just, it may cut, but it's not very good. This seems to do a good job. It's kind of slow for larger bits, but it does a good job. And that bit, after I sharpened it and split the point, drilled much easier, and the chips were coming out of both flutes at the same time, the same size. So that indicates that it was ground properly. So we'll wrap up the video at this point. We've got the first gear bolt circle drilled. I'll drill the second one off camera. We'll come back next time, pull the dozer into the shop, drop the track, swap out a couple idlers for these gears, try to improve the track management. The idlers work okay, but they make a lot of noise, and it's not as smooth engagement as I'd expected or I'd hoped that they would be. And the gears, I think, will improve it. And originally I built the idlers the way I did, and when we come back and take them off, I'll show you if you didn't see the original build. So thanks for watching. Subscribe, give a thumbs up, share if you've got friends that are interested in this kind of stuff. Got a Couple episodes upcoming, working on the dozer. Probably have some tweaks to one or two of the other machines, and then we're going to get into a new build later this season. So thanks for watching. See you guys next time.